Hi friends, welcome to Book Talk. I have a very interesting combination today of a play turned into a novel. So let me begin with that. The title of this particular book is The Unexpected Guest. It is a novelization by Charles Osborne of the 1958 play of the same name by crime fiction writer Agatha Christie and was first published in the UK by HarperCollins on 6 September 1999 and later on 1st October 1999 in the US by St. Martin's Press. Now, like the play, this book, this novelization, is a straightforward transfer of the stage lines and directions of Christie's script into a written narrative. Now, Osborne chose not to add or subtract characters, lines, or even scenes which would alter in any substantial way this beautiful play that was that had been presented on the stage some 41 years back. Although minor amendments were made to produce suitable chapter endings and the beginnings of the chapters. And let me also tell you, this particular play was also adapted by a famous Hindi movie. The name, can you guess the name of this movie? Well, let me tell you, it was the name of this movie was Dhund. It was a movie that was produced and directed by B R Chopra in somewhere in 1973, and it had a huge cast in terms of Naveen Nishchal, Sanjay Khan, Zeenat Aman, Danny we all know had given a very powerful acting in this particular movie, and Deven Verma, Madan Puri, and many more. Before we come to the plot of this particular story, let me also take you through the characters. There are some very interesting characters in this, and before that, the story play is in the backdrop of South Wales, which is somewhere in England, and which is not very far from the Bristol Channel. Now, the main characters of this particular novel are Richard Warwick. Now, he's the person who has been murdered. He's a cripple, and his body is seen slumped in a wheelchair. Then you have Laura Warwick, who happens to be the wife of Richard Warwick, the deceased. Then you have Michael Starkweather. Michael Starkweather, the stranger whose car stalls in the hills while he is driving, and it's very foggy. So he gets off his car and he looks for the first house where he can enter and take refuge. Unlike today's time, there weren't any mobile phones or any other means of communication. So this is what he does. Then you have Bennett or Benny. She happens to be the secretary cum housekeeper. And then you have Angle. He happens to be the male nurse of Richard Warwick. Then you have another important character in this by the name of Jan Warwick. He happens to be Richard Warwick's young half-brother. And then you have McGregor, another very important character, father of the child who was run over by Richard Warwick some years ago. Then you have Sergeant Cad Vallader from police. But by nature he is a very poetic kind of a chap who looks for poetry in everything in life. Then you have Inspector Thomas, who investigates the case, and Mrs. Warwick, mother of Richard. So, friends, as the story goes, on a foggy night, a man called by the name of Michael Starkweather, his car breaks down and he doesn't know what to do, and it's very foggy and very cold, so he gets off his car and comes to this particular house for a refuge, where he finds a body slumped in a chair, perhaps shot, and a woman next to the wheelchair with a gun in her hand, who confesses that she has shot her husband and and that and her name is Laura Warwick. She is the wife of Richard Warwick, the person who was shot. And then she says that this guy was not very nice. He used to ill-treat me, and he used to be drunk and very abusive. Michael Starkweather decides, he looks around and he decides not to turn her to the police. And then the two decide to come up with a cover-up story to protect Laura Warwick. In the end, they settle on an enemy from the past by the name of McGregor, whose son was run over by Richard several years ago and who was now the man murdered. Michael and Laura make this game plan to get McGregor involved because he happened to be an old enemy of Richard Warwick. They slip a paper in Richard's pocket with the date of the accident saying paid in full. So the accident had happened somewhere, I think around some day was 15th, and they put that date and they write this paid in full and slip it into his pocket so that the police or anybody can make out that it's a kind of a revenge. Then they stage the murder so it appears to have been recent, alerting the residents of the building. The police are soon alerted and begin to investigate. It is revealed that McGregor is dead, and thereafter suspicions are exchanged and traded very vehemently. Meanwhile, Michael discovers that Laura was having an affair with another man whom she believed murdered Richard. And now we are coming to the close of this particular book. Michael, however, believes Laura still is guilty. Finally, it is revealed that Michael only is McGregor. So here, the twist in the story is here. Finally, it is revealed that Michael only is McGregor, and he had come to avenge his son. He shouts this to Laura, along with the fact that he cares for her, and jumps through the window running away. So that is where the book ends. And I hope, friends, you've liked this less than 200 pages novel, and if you've liked, kindly share it. And I would like to give 9 out of 10 to this book. It is an interesting book, very absorbing and not very thick or a marathon book, so you can just go through it in about 3 to 4 days, even when you're traveling. The language is a little away from how Agatha writes, but Charles Osborne, I must compliment him. He has tried to keep the same effect that Agatha has while she writes, and he's descriptive in the same manner, and he's very crisp with his sentences. So overall, it's a good experience. And friends, if you've liked this particular program of mine, kindly share it, kindly subscribe our channel, and soon we'll come out with another book for you. Till then, goodbye from Book Talk.